Hello and welcome to Gazette discussion for 14 July 2021. My name is Harsh Singh and in this discussion we will cover many interesting articles. Our video discussion is in two segments. The first video will contain our featured news, which is on social media and women. Now, social media has become very relevant during the times of pandemic, and women, 50% contributors to our population, have an increased role to play in social media. In this context, in this video, we will understand what is the meaning of social media, the participation of women and the role they play in social media, what are the challenges they face, and how these challenges can be overcome, what is the way forward. The second video will contain rest of the articles, which are first, this day in history. This day in history, 14 July is the date on which it was decided at Wardha that Gandhiji will lead Quit India movement. News snapshots. Two important news snapshots and updates for you. First one is on MSME reverse migration issue, a report presented by SIDBI. The second one is the state of food security and nutrition in the world report. This is created by Food and Agriculture Organization, right? So we'll discuss these two important updates. What is the image of the day? Image of the day is something that we found out at one of the research stations of India in Antarctica, right? It's called as Bryum Bharatiensis. Term and concept. We have got four terms and concept for you today. Ashadhi, Beej and Rath Yatra. Very much related to the culture of India, and Jagannath Yatra. The second one is Vietnam appointing their first honorary Consul General in India in Bangalore. The third one relates to suborbital flights conducted by Virgin Atlantic. And the fourth one is Kongu Nadu region. The technical term Kongu Nadu. We'll discuss this. Editorials of the day. The three editorials that we have selected for you today to discuss are: one, growth matters but income levels also matter. A report in which the income levels and solutions to increasing them are presented. The second one is regional power and Afghanistan question, revolving around the US exit from Afghanistan and the future of Afghanistan. The third one is the potential of India's circular economy. So this is where we discuss India's circular economy. And the case study for today is on poverty eradication and a great support to it by Ford Foundation. Let's start our discussion. This day in history is on Quit India resolution. This was the day on which at Wardha, Gandhiji finally decided that he will go ahead with the Quit India movement. Although the movement did not get executed in the way it was planned, yet it actually united the masses of the India, right? It also sadly resulted in large scale violence throughout the country. News snapshot. The first snapshot is on the issue of reverse migration in India. We know that a lot of workers work in MSMEs, micro, small and medium industries throughout the country. So because of which the labor is informal and the labor is dependent on migrant workforce, right? And due to the corona pandemic and the enforced lockdown, a lot of MSMEs stopped working, and therefore informal workers bear the brunt. Migrant workers, they had to go back, and that is why Grant Thornton Bharat and SIDBI, they have come with a report on the same, so that government gets proper guidance and direction in which they could direct their policies towards the migrant workers. So first thing before anything is that these unemployed workers, right, they have exceeded in number in the rural areas, in the suburban areas, and they have also wanted to come back to gain the employment back. But are they getting the valuable employment? No, they are not, because of the second phase of the lockdown as well. So what were the reasons for people to migrate? Now the report says that the most important contributing factor, almost 50%, is the loss of job, especially MSMEs. Now MSMEs have a huge contribution in Indian economy. They contribute to around 45% of manufacturing output. They contribute to a huge chunk in the export and also to around 30% of GDP of the country, right? But since they were stopped, so we must look at what was the reason for people to go back to their homes, right? MSME got stopped, and because of which there was a huge job loss. So 50% people migrated back because of loss of job, right? There was a fear of corona also among the population in the urban areas. So around 25% went back because of the fear of corona. So this is all pandemic driven migration, right? only around 3% people had the facility to work from home. Only 3%. So rest of them migrated because of the force of corona and loss of jobs and related factors, loss of income, non-availability of basic items at the lockdown places. So these were the most important challenging factors for them, right? Now, the report, all it wants to do is to present a solution for this kind of crisis. So the report says that there must be a renewed force on digitalization, digitalizing the whole economy as much as possible, even the MSMEs. For example, if production can take place at the place, but supply chain needs marketing, it can be done online, right? So this is one important suggestion it has given. Also laying down the significance of MSMEs, right? Do remember these kind of important data and statistics. You can always place that in any of the answers related to MSMEs. So one suggestion was digitizing the services of the MSMEs, and the second one, very important, is having a clustered approach to MSMEs, so that if there is an issue, the issue can be resolved focusing on that particular cluster or that particular area, right? Also, targeting of beneficiaries can be done very well if in case cluster based approach is adopted, giving skills to this particular sector and reskilling them and then upskilling them, upgrading their skill can also be done effectively through this mechanism, right? Now, one example of this is the use of rickshaw. Now, rickshaw pullers during the traditional times had this three-wheeler and they had to pedal the rickshaw. Now, in the modern times, they have converted into battery rickshaws, right? So these battery vehicles is, if we are helping people to provide these battery vehicles and the repair, etc., this is what is upskilling, right? So a cluster-based approach to all this can work. This is what Sidby and Grant Thornton are talking of. So do note these important recommendations by these two institutions for government to guide in the MSME sector. So this is the report. The second snapshot is on state of food security and nutrition in the world report. This report is presented by Food and Agriculture Organization and UNICEF, right? Just 2 days back, we discussed an important report by World Bank. This was called as the Agricultural Outlook Report, right? So right here, we will remember these reports. How? See, this report talks about agriculture outlook and also presents a 10-year vision for agriculture around the world, right? It also foresees what are the issues, what are the nutrition issues, will there be enough food available for the world or not? And it is presented by World Bank. Why World Bank? Because World Bank can also later fund these issues, right? In case there are issues, it can fund these agricultural outlook perspectives, right? Now, the second report that we talk right now is presented by Food and Agriculture Organization and UNICEF, United Nations International Children's Education Fund. So what they are concerned about is not the food production, but food security and nutrition around the world. So very natural that FAO and UNICEF will participate in not World Agricultural Outlook, not planning of this, but whether this gets transmitted to children, transmitted to the food security network and nutrition or not. So do remember, this is how you can actually interlink why these organizations are presenting these specific reports, right? So this organization has also again presented an outlook for 10 years from now, right, about food security and malnutrition. Sadly, the report says that there will be an acceleration in the food insecurity and malnutrition around the world, and all because of corona, right? All because of the pandemic, right? So there were targets for zero hunger by 2030. This is the SDG target, right? But will we be able to achieve? Probably, most probably not, right? And we also see there is a gender gap here as well, right? The males have better access to nutrition and food security, and females do not have, whereas females are the ones who actually need more nutrition to be able to support the family, right? This all relates to economic empowerment as well. But the agenda of this report was related to food security, right? There are also regional inequalities, especially in Africa. Now we have read reports on migration, international migration. We covered them in previous snapshots. We spoke of the areas in distress. For example, Somalia, Myanmar, Afghanistan, Nigeria, right? Sudan. Now these are the places from where people are migrating. Most of the regions are in Africa or in Asia, and they are migrating to the nearby countries only, right? So from Afghanistan to Pakistan, from north of Africa to Europe, right? From Myanmar to the nearby areas, countries, for example, India, Thailand, right? From Nigeria to the Central Africa region. So these are the places which are most impacted, and therefore there are regional inequalities, right? Areas which are most impacted and less impacted. How does it affect? Now stunting. Stunting is, now these are important things which can also be asked in UPSC exam in terms of conceptual questions. So it will increase stunting, wasting, overweight. Overweight is very simple thing. We have more weight for our height, right? What is wasting? So wasting is less weight for height, and stunting, less height for our age. Less height with respect to age. People grow with age, but the height does not grow as per their age. So this is stunting. So you can remember these three and note them with the keywords here, right? So nutrition indicators will not be as good as bright. Anemia, almost 50% of people in India, females in India, are anemic, right? So this anemia is not going to improve in the coming 10 years, right? And what are the reasons? What are the reasons for this? So one reason, as we discussed, is economic slowdown, which has been spurred by the pandemic. The other reasons are conflict that I just discussed, because of which migration is happening. Climate variability, because of climate variability, the production of agriculture is not happening adequately around the world. And this is where India, thankfully, right now faces a good future. Why? Because India is able to export more during the times of pandemic, more food to especially the conflict-striven areas, to areas which have more climate variability, to places where production is less. And that is why our agriculture is actually growing during these times, under quotes. Because future is again uncertain, because India's agriculture is dependent on monsoon. India's agriculture is dependent on many other factors in the economy. For example, the inflation rate, right? Okay. Now, poverty and inequality, these are another important driving factors in India as well. So this will come into play for India as well in future, because right now government is also providing extra food ration to all people because of the corona pandemic. This is not highlighted, but poverty and inequality is something India also faces, right? Okay, moving ahead, the pathways to address. So what is the way to address all this? Just opposite to what we have spoken right now: conflict, peace; climate variability, climate resilience, right? Economic slowdown, then government stimulus to these sectors, right? Increasing the nutrition, addressing the structural inequalities in poverty and economy. So these are the ways we can actually increase our resilience to these kind of food crisis. So this is what this important report talks of, right? Okay, moving ahead to image of the day. Now, image of the day comes from the 7th continent, Antarctica. This is where India has got 3 research stations. The 3 research stations are Dakshin Gangotri, Maitri and Bharti, right? And India tried to find out if there is any biota presence, right? Any biota flora presence there. But since 1981, we could not find any. But this is the first one that we have found out. In the image that we see is Bryum Bharatiensis, right? Why Bharatiensis? Because it is named after our research station where this particular plant was found for the first time. And what led to the growth of this plant? Very interestingly, it is penguins. Penguins excreta, which also leads to production of nitrogen from their excreta, potassium, phosphorus, etc. Now, this is what led to the formation of this particular species, Bryum Bharatiensis. So do remember this word and where it was found. Also presenting to you the 3 important research stations of India in Antarctica. Terms and concept. The first term and concept is Ashadhi, Beej and Rath Yatra, right? Jagannathpur Rath Yatra is organized in the month of July. This is also the month of Ashadhi in the Hindu calendar, right? So this is the time when this Rath Yatra is organized and people know about the Rath Yatra, but history is not very much known. Now, this Rath Yatra actually is to felicitate Lord Jagannatha, who is Lord Krishna. Lord Jagannatha, his brother Balram or Balbhadra and Subhadra, their sister, right? So these 3 important key people are actually felicitated in this. Now the history goes like this, that they travel from the Kutch region where we have the Ashadhi Beej festival. Now this Ashadhi Beej festival is the actual regard for the New Year celebration in the Kutch region, right? So this is the place where Dwarka, the kingdom of Krishna, was existent in the mythical times, right? So kingdom of Dwarka, and from kingdom of Dwarka through chariot, these rulers would travel to which place? Would travel to Vrindavan, which was the birthplace for Krishna, right? So aunt's place, they travel to their aunt's place, and this whole depiction of this myth is done through Rath Yatra. So this 10-day festival has 9 days in which this traveling is done and Krishna rests in a temple, and then 10th day they come back to the Jagannath temple again. So this is the history. So the first yatra is called as Shri Gundicha Yatra, where they travel to aunt's home, aunt's temple at Gundicha temple, and then 10th day they come back, and this yatra, the 10th day yatra, is called as Bahuda Yatra, right? So this is what is the small culture and history behind this yatra. Second term and concept is on Vietnam's first honorary consul general in India, right? Now, apart from embassies, every country also places consuls, right? Consulates in different cities. For example, Delhi is the place where embassy is located, but Vietnam can have a consulate in Mumbai, can have it in Bengaluru, and Kolkata as well, depending on the kind of people residing there, their own citizens, the kind of trade they do, etc. So Vietnam this time has appointed an honorary consul general, and this person is an Indian, right? So he's the first Indian to be appointed as Vietnam's consul general in Bengaluru. What will he do? He will promote Vietnamese interest in India, especially in the southern region, trade, economics, investment, etc. Right? So this is what is the news about. Third term and concept, suborbital flight. Now this suborbital flight was conducted by the billionaire Richard Branson, who is the founder for Virgin Group. What he aims to do is to ensure that tourists do travel to edge of space where they feel weightlessness and they come back, right? So this is where we will discuss what is suborbital flight, right? So orbital flight, there's something called as orbital flight, and then we have this airlines travel, and then we have suborbital flight, right? So considering this ground level as the earth level, now the 10 to 15 kilometers is utilized by the normal flights, right? The Air India and the Indigo flights that we take. After that, this is the space beyond which there is space, right? So we feel a lot of gravity in this space, and this is the place where we feel microgravity, very less gravity, and this is where the suborbital flight went and came back, right? And this is the place which is called as the orbital space flight. Orbital space flight is the region where the flights take place and they orbit around the Earth's surface, right? So the idea of this flight was not to orbit around the Earth, it was only to feel the weightlessness, feel the edge of gravity, and after that come back. So this is where the tourism is destined to take place, and this is for space missions, right? Where bodies revolve around the Earth and they keep noting various changes on the Earth's surface, right? So this is what is the update about. Fourth term and concept, Kongu Nadu. Now this Kongu Nadu is not any designated place in Tamil Nadu. It has never been put as a pin code or designated as a name formally, but this historically was a place mentioned in the Sangam literature, right? This was one of the 5 regions in Sangam literature mentioned. Western part of Tamil Nadu, which is an industrial area having Coimbatore, Tirupur, Nilgiri districts, and this is what is called as Kongu Nadu region, right? Now, why is it in news? It is in news because some social media posts were of the nature that it seemed that there was a tendency to bifurcate Tamil Nadu state in Kongu Nadu and the rest of the Tamil Nadu region, which was actually a rumor, but we must know what this Kongu Nadu term is about. So this is Kongu Nadu, also mentioned in Sangam literature. Important editorials. All the 3 editorials are really beautiful, very good. Now, if you go on the website, we also present the link. So if you click on the link, you can actually read the editorial. I'll provide a quick summary to what the editorial contained. The first editorial is talking about growth, but also mentioning that income is more important for the nation because income is actually distributed among the people. So it says, the article says that agricultural growth has happened for the country during these times, pandemic times, but industrial growth has not happened. The reason is very simple. That is the cause of pandemic, which has actually broken down the whole supply chain of the production and consumption, right? Unemployment rate have also gone on a high, right? Business confidence is low, but exports are still going good. Why? Because agricultural exports, because of pharmaceutical exports, because of service sector exports that we have, so they are handling the export of India. However, income is not getting distributed around, right? So what is government doing? At policy level, government has ensured that the supply side is not constrained. Supply side, that means provision or to the important sectors, right? Government benefits, some exemptions, they are there. But the article says that demand side also needs to buck up. Demand side also needs to be managed by the government. If there is adequate supply, but there is no demand, then economy again will not start functioning in the best way. The second thing the article says is that the government has provided mid-term support and also only to specific sectors. So the idea is to provide help to all sectors in the long run, right? The third agenda that the policy has done is to ensure that the government benefits are reached out, but private sector investment also needs to come up. So this is how the policies by the government and some of the lacunae are presented in this article, right? So this is the first article. The second article is on the question of Afghanistan. Now, lately we have seen that almost 90% of US troops have withdrawn from Afghanistan. Taliban has also started to claim that it has contained almost 85% area in Afghanistan. Although this may not be true, but their influence was always more than 50% of the area of Afghanistan, right? So in this context, the article speaks of multiple perspectives about the future of Afghanistan. The first is that after US retreat, right, Taliban has got more control in the Afghanistan area. We have also seen this in the recent news when Taliban also brutally murdered the security forces of Afghanistan. We've also seen how the consulates of India in Afghanistan have also started feeling the threat, right? So these are indicative of how Taliban is gaining supremacy, an illegitimate supremacy in the region of Afghanistan, right? In this, the article presents the stakeholdership of various regional organizations and countries. For example, SCO, Shanghai Cooperation, was formed almost 20 years back to ensure regional security in Asia, right? So the important members of it were China, Russia, and the Central Asian countries. But did they actually rebel during the time when US actually invaded Afghanistan to overpower Al-Qaeda and overpower Taliban? No, they did not, right? But they do have security repercussions right now. For example, China. Now, China already faces the threat from Uyghur Muslims to a certain extent. So, China, will it be supporting Pakistan in the cause in Afghanistan, or will it be participating against Taliban? This is an important question. Russia and China do not want any insecurity in the Asian heartland. Iran. Now, Iran is threatened because of the Sunni kind of movement by the Taliban, because Iran largely is Shia-led, right? India and Pakistan also have a role to play. Now, Pakistan largely dominates the situation in Afghanistan with the help of Taliban, right? And it can actually play a spoil sport for India's development. What is required for India for now, the article says, is to peacefully watch the situation and take the right advantage when it comes to India's question in the region, right? So this is what is the article, beautiful article in the Indian Express. The third article is about the potential of India's circular economy. Now, we have covered circular economy as a part of our featured discussion. What is a circular economy? Very simple. For example, imagine a piece of cloth. Our ladies in the house, our mothers, they utilize this, for example, this shirt. Now, I have utilized this shirt. If I wear it for 2 years and this gets torn apart, this shirt is later utilized in the kitchen, right? As an important cloth to wipe the kitchen basin, etc. And later it is also used as a cloth to rub the floors, right? So the whole cloth, which was actually intended for a purpose, a specific purpose, its purpose got changed with time, and it could actually be used in a circular manner, right? And towards the end, when this rag gets formed, this rag is later recycled for another cloth purpose, right? So this is what is circular economy. The article says, is India actually a circular economy by tradition? So this is what the article starts with. The article chiefly says that for any economy to be circular, it needs three things: need, responsibility, and wealth. So need for being circular, right? Then we have responsibilities towards ensuring that recycling is followed, and the wealth, we should have capacity enough of ensuring that we carry out a circular economy. So we need innovation. This is one important thing here, right? So this is where article initiates itself. The article says that Asian countries are very poor at recycling. European economies, they produce a lot of plastic, but they recycle almost 40% of it. However, Asian economies, Indian economy, they hardly recycle 10% of what they produce, especially plastic waste. So this is an area of concern, and this is where the article starts to give good suggestions. The first suggestion the article gives is about innovation. It says that innovation is the key to recycling, right? So, for example, there are places where food items are packed. Why cannot we pack them in bagasse, that is sugarcane residue containers? So, an important organization, EcoWare, is working in that field, right? Then client trust. The article says that gaining the trust of people is also equally important, because that is how people will be able to use it, right? Also, trust can be gained by giving them information and containing the prices as less, right? Then the article says investment. Angel investor. Angel investor is not the only key to investment. What is an angel investor? Angel investor is an angel who ensures that proper money, proper supply of money is given to a new industry, to a new setup, right? But the article says that angel investor is not the only key. The key is having incubators, having venture capitalists. Venture capitalists are those people who have money and they ventured in new fields themselves. So they ensure that the proper baby care of the industry is taken place, right? Incubators. So these are very much required. Now these are the keywords that you will put in your answers. On circular economy, on cases where we talk of innovation in the renewable technology, right? You can place these answers anywhere. Even in case of defense technology, we need incubation, we need venture capitalist funds, right? So these are very good keywords you can use. And the fourth one, the article says, is on policy. Now government has presented a policy which clearly says that plastic usage has to decrease and single-use plastic has to get eliminated. But is it getting followed? No, it is not. So this is where the article focuses. These 4 points is where the article focuses, and you can definitely note them down to bring about a beautiful answer in the same field. Case study of the day. Now case study is on the graduation program. This graduation program is not the regular graduation in the field of education. This is graduation of those people who are extremely poor, who are not able to even sustain their daily basic need, not able to even cultivate their own basic resources, right? So here Ford Foundation and an important organization called as CGAP, they have come together to ensure this graduation program for the most vulnerable population. Antyodaya. So people towards the end, Yodaya, Uday, their rise. So this is where the article, this case study focuses, right? People who have very, very limited access to credit, financial literacy, they don't know anything, right? They have got hardly any skills. So this is where micro entrepreneurship is being provided by these two organizations, CGAP and Ford Foundation, right? So they are trying to give them some in-kind resources, some basic finances, some skill training, right? Now this inspiration was taken from Bangladesh, where this got succeeded, and now they are trying in India. What has it led to? Now it has led to important changes. For example, it has increased the asset creation for these people, right? These people who had no resources, they have now some basic resources, right? Also their consumption increased, especially in those areas where there was hardly any consumption, right? It also impacted the microeconomics. That means the amount of saving they had, the amount of money these people had. Also it created a ripple effect, right? Now this 1 rupee utilized here actually led to an effect of 4.5 rupees. How? Now only 1 rupee was spent by the Ford Foundation, but the people who actually gained from 1 rupee, these people at the very basic level, Antyodaya people, so these people utilize this 1 rupee and 50 paise in their business. So when they utilize 50 paise here, this 50 paise actually went to the shopkeeper who helped in the education of their children. This school ensured that the money went to its employees, to the teachers and employees, right? So this 50 paise translated into more 50 paise, and that is how it led to the result of 4.5 rupee effect into from this 1 rupee. So this is the ripple effect it has caused. Now what kind of micro entrepreneurship this Ford Foundation is providing here? As simple as tailoring, giving them the important articles for tailoring, egg shop, pan shop. So if we empower these people at the grassroots level, this is how the economy will change right from the most grassroots level. So this is what this case study is about. The case study talks about CGAP and Ford Foundation. Remember this name and how they are helping in eradicating poverty throughout the country, right? This is how you will do this work as you become the administrators, especially in the rural areas. You join IAS and important other services. Thanks for watching. This video was produced by the effort of a lot of people in the background who helped in production of the Gazette magazine and in the video team. Now, what is required from your end, my dear friends? All you need to do is put some comments so that we get important feedbacks. If you like this initiative, do appreciate it. We would also love that you subscribe to this channel and also propagate this among your friends and dear friends, so that we are able to produce even better content. If you help us in promoting this, we might as well come up with more such videos so that your UPSC journey is made very beautiful and easy. Thanks for watching.